everyone. Welcome to Bach's Lunch. We hope you come back every Wednesday in July, same time, same place. This program is also being live streamed by Nashua ETV, so thank you to them, and hello to our virtual audience. Bach's Lunch is funded by the Ira F. Harris Trust, the Moses Hunt Trust, and the Nashua Public Library. Before we get started, let me share some library news. Our summer reading program has started, and it's not too late to sign up. Record your minutes on the Beanstack app and win prizes, and join us for summer reading programming. We have options for ages 0 to 100 plus. Come to the library every Thursday evening in July for our summer concerts on the plaza, which is music for the whole family. We open this series tomorrow with musician Jeff Warner, so bring your blankets and lawn chairs and meet us on the plaza at 7. If there's inclement weather, the show will go on right here in the Chandler Wing. If you have questions about library programs or services, stop by our table to chat after the program. All right, a couple of housekeeping things. If we need to exit quickly, use the emergency exit to your left by the round tables. For restrooms, go out the doors by the Chandler desk and take a right. And last, please silence your phones. Now let me introduce our performer today, Scott Sanchez. Scott has spent his life dedicated to the guitar, starting at just 10 years old when his brother gave him lessons. In addition to playing, he arranges and composes and teaches the next generation at Franklin Pierce University, where he is a lecturer of jazz history, music and film, and women in music. Scott has a Master of Music from Yale and has performed in master classes with renowned guitarists Pepe Romero and David Russell, amongst others. Welcome, Scott.
Thanks for coming to the performance today. It's great to be here. Let's see if I can get this. It's great to be here for the, I guess this is the first time in 3 years I'm here for these Bach's Lunch concerts. I played here years ago. It was in a different room, as I recall. So it's nice to be in this renovated room, and thanks to Holly Klump and the National Public Library for inviting me to play. Those were two pieces by Jorge Morel. Jorge Morel was a famous Argentinian guitarist and composer. And the first one was Prelude for Olga, or Prelude in A minor for his, an elegy for his wife. And the second piece was Danza Brasileira, probably his most famous piece. It's a samba. One thing to know about Jorge is he spent many years touring, playing classical guitar. And he also played for many years back in the 60s at the Village Vanguard in New York City. He would play alongside people like Stan Getz and Miles Davis. So he developed a kind of unique repertoire that blended elements of South American music, classical music, of course, and then jazz. So, and you can hear this in his compositions. I felt very fortunate to have gotten to know him a few years ago. He passed away during the pandemic around February last year, so it was a great loss to the guitar community, but a great thing that he was part of the guitar community. The next piece is by Heitor Villalobos. This is a Gavotte, and it's from his Gavotte Choro. This is from his Brazilian suite. One of the things I like about this piece is it really blends elements of the European classical, the idea of a Gavotte, with the South American influence. So we have a piece that you might think of from a Baroque, something J.S. Bach maybe would have written with Villalobos. And these actually were small groups. Choros it's kind of a style that Villalobos became known for. It was a precursor to the bossa nova and the samba. But the choros were really little. Originally, they were groups of musicians that Villalobos performed with, kind of improvisatory groups. When he was a young man, he played with these groups. So the next piece is by Domenico Scarlatti. I thought since it's called the Bach's Lunch, it'd be good to include something from the Baroque era. Scarlatti wasn't, he's not J.S. Bach, but he was a contemporary of J.S. Bach. And he was the son of Alessandro Scarlatti, who was one of the most famous Baroque musicians of his day, famous for opera mostly. And Domenico, early in his life, he moved to Portugal, to Lisbon, Portugal. And he was in the court of Maria Barbara, the Infanta in Lisbon. And he gave her harpsichord lessons, and was a court musician. And she must have been a great harpsichord player because he wrote these over 500 sonatas, not everyone for her, but he wrote many of these for her. These are little keyboard sonatas, and often you hear these on the guitar. It's important too to note that Scarlatti moved to Madrid, Spain when Maria Barbara married Fernando VI. He moved to, they took him with them because they were great music lovers, Fernando and Maria Barbara. And in Madrid he stayed the rest of his life. And this is important because his music really absorbed these elements of the guitar, like guitaristic effects. So if you listen to keyboard sonatas, they have strumming type effects, plucking sounds, trills, different like trills and things that you would associate with the guitar. So they work well as guitar transcriptions. So this is one of my favorite Scarlatti sonatas in E major by Domenico Scarlatti. I posted this online, this concert, yesterday, and somebody wrote me and asked me, what's he having for lunch? He met Bach, so I don't know what Bach had for lunch, but the interesting thing is you can Google this, and it'll tell you what Bach ate in his lifetime, most likely. So these are two pieces by the Spanish composer Federico Moreno Choroba. Choroba was, that might be better. Choroba was well known as a composer of zarzuela, a type of light musical opera in Spain. That was one of the things he was known for, but he was also really known today as one of the great composers for the guitar, one of the early composers. And he was really a guitar composer in the sense that, like the piece I played before was a transcription. The guitar had often, by the early 20th century, was really known as, oftentimes it was known as an instrument that you played arrangements on or transcriptions in the classical world. But Segovia really started to change that, this great Spanish guitarist, and he commissioned many composers. One of them, Choroba, was the first to take up the mantle of composing for the guitar. He wrote many pieces for Segovia and the Romeros during his lifetime. And then one interesting thing is he was also really interested in American jazz. So sometimes in his pieces you'll hear these, it's definitely Spanish music, but you'll hear these chords that you, like ninth type chords, colorful chords and harmonies that you often associate with jazz. So the first one, Burgalesa, is, it's a tribute, really a love song to Burgos, region of Spain. And then Madroños is a piece, it's not known for sure why. He would give these evocative names to pieces, and it's not always clear what it means. I've looked this up many times, it's not known for sure what the piece is referring to, but it might have been referring to the Madroños trees that grow around Spain. This was premiered in the 1930s, I believe, by Regino Sanz de la Maza, who was one of my teacher's teachers. It was the teacher of Ricardo Izanaiola. So he gave the premiere of this. So Burgalesa and Madroños. These next two pieces are two pieces by Isaac Albéniz. I like to refer to him as the most famous Spanish composer, guitar composer, who never composed for the guitar. All of his pieces, you associate many of his pieces with the guitar, probably even more than the piano, which he was a virtuoso pianist. But he never actually wrote anything specifically for the guitar. He was a virtuoso, really a child prodigy. He was accepted to the Paris Conservatory when he was, well, he passed the entrance exam to the Paris Conservatory when he was 7 years old. But it was thought that he was too young, so they didn't actually accept him. But he'd given his debut by the time he was 9 years old. And by the time he was in his early teens, he's 15 or so, he was traveling around the world, throughout Europe, South America, and performing concert tours. And there's an anecdote about him. It's probably apocryphal. It's probably not necessarily true, but it's a great story that I'd heard for years, that he stowed away on a ship, ran away from home, and toured the world. But there's been a lot of research about this, and if you look at the travel records of his father was an important government official in Spain, and he would travel with his father, it appears. So because you can line up the dates where he was performing with where his father was at. But nonetheless, he was a virtuoso traveling throughout the world playing his music. And these are two pieces, two transcriptions. Mallorca is a tribute to the island in Spain. And then we have Torre Bermeja. And Torre Bermeja literally means vermilion tower or red tower. It's again not kind of like the last piece of the Madrones. It's not known exactly what it was referring to. There's a tower at the Alhambra in Spain, the Palace of the Alhambra. But it's thought more. I think it's probably more likely it was a military defensive fort in Cadiz that this was intended for. So the first piece is a transcription of one of my teachers from my first classical guitar teacher, Mark Switzer, and the second piece is a transcription of mine. And he gave this piece to me a couple of years ago. I heard it when I was a kid, heard my teacher, and Pepe Romero recorded this. I was so thrilled when Pepe Romero, the great Spanish guitarist, recorded this when I was in high school, and I used to go around showing people the CD with it. But I dragged them into the record store and showed them that Pepe recorded my teacher's piece, but I couldn't actually afford the CD at the time. Okay, so anyway, Mallorca and Torre Bermeja. pieces are two bossa novas. These are two jazz pieces in the style of the bossa nova. The bossa nova was a jazz style that it's really what happened to jazz when it went to South America. And these pieces were big in the late 50s. Bossa nova was a craze in the late 50s, early 60s. Mania de Carnival, or basically Day at the Carnival, is the theme song from the Black Orpheus, the movie Black Orpheus. And it was a famous piece by Luis Bonfa. Bonfa was a great, he was known as a singer and as a composer. He was also a great guitarist. There's a great recording, if you're able to locate it. In fact, maybe the library has it. It's a Smithsonian collection. Alan Lomax, the musicologist, used to travel around and just record people in their native environments, and he just sat down with the microphone and recorded Luis Bonfa. It's interesting to just hear him play the guitar and talk a little and improvise, and just a great guitar. So the first one is Mania de Carnival, the theme to Black Orpheus, and then the second piece is Song for My Father. This was a piece by Horace Silver, the great jazz musician. And he was from the United States. When he went to South America, he was inspired, and when he came back, he wrote this piece. His father had a Cape Verdean heritage, so it was a tribute to his father. Thanks again for coming to the performance today. This next piece is called a jongo. It's a type of Brazilian dance. This is from a contemporary composer, Paulo Bellinati. And literally, it means jungle, basically, is what it means. one more short piece. Thanks again for attending the performance.
Thank you.